Namo Ramana, prostrations to Ramana, shining as a self in all beings. By the immense grace of the self manifest as Ramana, we begin this Satsangh today with the prayer by Srimati Sapna Ganesh, followed by the chanting of Muktakatrayam by Nandakumarji.
दक्षिणामूर्तिसारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमां रमणाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् शुक्लां वरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये आङ्गिकं भुवनं यस्य वाचिकं सर्ववाङ्मयम् आहार्यं चन्द्रतारादि तं नमः सात्विकं शिवम् ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय. Namo Ramana to everyone.
Ekam aksharam hridirantaram bhasate swayam likyate katham हृदय कुहर मध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहमहमिति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदिशमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मज्जता अनचलरूढा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्. देहं मृण्मयं जडात्मकम् वाहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्ततभावशुक्तिसमये सोहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः पूर्णो विहाति स्वयं. सोहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिव विभाति स्वयं नमो रमण
Namo Ramana. We continue with the chanting of also from Upadeshasaram by Srimati Ashwini Balaji and Kumari Kumar Shripati.
नमो रमण कर्तुराज्ञया प्राप्यते फलं कर्म किं परं कर्म तज्जडं कृतिमहो दधौ पतनकारणं फलमशाश्वतं गतिनिरोधकम् ईश्वरार्पितं नेच्छया कृतं चित्तशोधकं मुक्तिसाधकं कायवाङ्मन कार्यमुत्तमं पूजनं जप चिन्तनं क्रमात् जगतैषधी युक्तसेवनम् अष्टमूर्तिदेवपूजनम् उत्तमस्तवादुच्चमन्दत चित्तजं जप ध्यानमुत्तमम् आज्यधारया स्रोतसा समं सरलचिन्तनं विरलतत्परं वेदभावना सोऽहमित्यसौ भावना विदा पावनीमता भावशून्य सद्भावसुस्थिति भावना बला भक्तिरुत्तमा हृत्स्थले मना स्वस्थता क्रिया भक्तियोगबोधाश्च निश्चितम् नमो रमण
Namo Ramana. We go on to the offerings of Ramananjali Sangeetam. Today we have 3 songs. The first one will be presented by Srimati Radha, accompanied by Vallabh. The second by Srimati Pratibha Sundaresh. And the third by Savitri Krishnan and Jai Shri Ramakrishnan.
Namo Ramana to all. Today we will be presenting a song written by Dr. Sharada and the music is by L. Krishnan. கருணை கடலே பொங்கி இன்ப அலைகள் ஆடுதே கருணை கடலே பொங்கி இன்ப அலைகள் ஆடுதே ரமணா 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 என்று கானம் பாடுதே ரமணா 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 என்று கானம் பாடுதே கருணை கடலே பொங்கி இன்ப அலைகள் ஆடுதே ரமணா 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 என்று கானம் பாடுதே அங்கும் இங்கும் தங்க ரமணன் அழகி தோன்றுதே அங்கும் இங்கும் தங்க ரமணன் அழகி தோன்றுதே மங்களங்கள் என்றும் வாழ்வில் நிலைக்க செய்யுதே மங்களங்கள் என்றும் வாழ்வில் நிலைக்க செய்யுதே அங்கும் இங்கும் தங்க ரமணன் அழகி தோன்றுதே மங்களங்கள் என்றும் வாழ்வில் நிலைக்க செய்யுதே ஜெகமெல்லாம் அருளாலே மலர்கின்றதே ஜெகமெல்லாம் அருளாலே மலர்கின்றதே எங்குமே பேரன்பின் மனம் வீசுதே எங்குமே பேரன்பின் மனம் வீசுதே ஜெகமெல்லாம் அருளாலே மலர்கின்றதே எங்குமே பேரன்பின் மனம் வீசுதே ரமணா 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 Ramana 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 கருணை கடலே பொங்கி இன்ப அலைகள் ஆடுதே கருணை கடலே பொங்கி இன்ப அலைகள் ஆடுதே ரமணா 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 என்று கானம் பாடுதே ரமணா 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 என்று கானம் பாடுதே அங்கும் இங்கும் தங்கரமணன் அழகை தோன்றுதே அங்கும் இங்கும் தங்கரமணன் அழகை தோன்றுதே மங்களங்கள் என்றும் வாழ்வில் நிலைக்க செய்யுதே மங்களங்கள் என்றும் வாழ்வில் நிலைக்க செய்யுதே ஜெகமெல்லாம் அருளாலே மலர்கின்றதே ஜெகமெல்லாம் அருளாலே மலர்கின்றதே எங்குமே பேரன்பின் மனம் வீசுதே எங்குமே பேரன்பின் மனம் வீசுதே ரமணா 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 நமோ ரமணா.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. This is a Hindi translation by Sri Ramanath Shastri and the music by Sulochana Mami. And this is from the lyrics by Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi of verse 2 of Arunachala Navamani Malai, in which Bhagwan says, Aruna signify Satchit and Ananda, that's being consciousness and bliss. They also stand for the Supreme Self, the individual self, and their oneness. Hence, Aruna means that you art, as expressed in the Mahakavya. So worship Arunachala of shining golden lustre, for mere remembrance of him ensures liberation. अरुण नाम के तीन वर्ण है सचित और आनंद सचित और आनंद अरुण नाम के तीन वर्ण है सचित और आनंद सचित और आनंद जीव तथा आत्मा के द्योतक और उनके एकत्व के द्योतक जीव तथा आत्मा के द्योतक और उनके एकत्व के द्योतक सचित और आनंद सचित और आनंद आत्मा हो तुम अर्थ अरुण का और अचल का अटल पूर्णता आत्मा हो तुम अर्थ अरुण का और अचल का अटल पूर्णता सचित और आनंद सचित और आनंद सुंदर स्वर्णाज्वल अरुणाचल स्वर्णाज्वल अरुणाचल स्वर्णाज्वल अरुणाचल सचित और आनंद सचित और आनंद सुंदर स्वर्णाज्वल अरुणाचल स्वर्णाज्वल अरुणाचल स्वर्णाज्वल अरुणाचल सचित और आनंद सचित और आनंद अरुणाचल से कीजे विनती, चिंतन उसका देता मुक्ति। अरुणाचल से कीजे विनती, चिंतन उसका देता मुक्ति। चिंतन उसका देता मुक्ति, चिंतन उसका देता मुक्ति, चिंतन उसका देता मुक्ति। नमो रमण।
ನನ್ನ ಸ್ವಾಮಿಯೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬಲ್ಲ, ಶುಭ ಯಾವುದೆನಗೆ ಯಾವುದು ಅಶುಭ ಎಲ್ಲ. ನನ್ನ ಸ್ವಾಮಿಯೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬಲ್ಲ, ಶುಭ ಯಾವುದೆನಗೆ ಯಾವುದು ಅಶುಭ ಎಲ್ಲ. ನನ್ನ ಸ್ವಾಮಿಯೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬಲ್ಲ. ಶರಣಾದ ಜೀವಕ್ಕೆ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಾಗಿ ಕರಗಿ ಸಲಹುವ ಪರಮ ಕರುಣಿತಾನವನು. ಶರಣಾದ ಜೀವಕ್ಕೆ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಾಗಿ ಕರಗಿ ಸಲಹುವ ಪರಮ ಕರುಣಿತಾನವನು. ಅವನಂತ ಸಿರಿವಂತ ತಂದೆ ನನಗಿರುತ್ತ, ಅವನಂತ ಸಿರಿವಂತ ತಂದೆ ನನಗಿರುತ್ತ, ಪರರ ಕಡೆ ಕೈ ಚಾಚಿ ಬೇಡಲೇನು, ಪರರ ಕಡೆ ಕೈ ಚಾಚಿ ಬೇಡಲೇನು. ನನ್ನ ಸ್ವಾಮಿಯೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬಲ್ಲ, ಶುಭ ಯಾವುದೆನಗೆ ಯಾವುದು ಅಶುಭ ಎಲ್ಲ. ನನ್ನ ಸ್ವಾಮಿಯೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಬೇಕು ಇದು ಬೇಕು ಎನ್ನುವವನು ದಾಸನೆ, ಅಂತವನ ಕಾಡುತ್ತಿದೆ ಲೌಕಿಕದ ವಾಸನೆ. ಅದು ಬೇಕು ಇದು ಬೇಕು ಎನ್ನುವವನು ದಾಸನೆ, ಅಂಥವನ ಕಾಡುತ್ತಿದೆ ಲೌಕಿಕದ ವಾಸನೆ. ರವಿಚಂದ್ರ ತಾರೆಗಳ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಿರುವ ಭುಜಕ್ಕೆ, ರವಿಚಂದ್ರ ತಾರೆಗಳ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಿರುವ ಭುಜಕ್ಕೆ, ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಬರದೆ ತನ್ನ ಮಗುವಿನ ಹರಕೆ, ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಬರದೆ ತನ್ನ ಮಗುವಿನ ಹರಕೆ. ನನ್ನ ಸ್ವಾಮಿಯೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬಲ್ಲ, ಶುಭ ಯಾವುದೆನಗೆ ಯಾವುದು ಅಶುಭ ಎಲ್ಲ. ನನ್ನ ರಮಣನೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬಲ್ಲ, ಶುಭ ಯಾವುದೆನಗೆ ಯಾವುದು ಅಶುಭ ಎಲ್ಲ. ನನ್ನ ರಮಣನೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬಲ್ಲ. ಓಂ ನಮೋ ಭಗವತೆ ಶ್ರೀ.
Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang with the reading and sharing by Nandakumar ji.
Namo Ramana. In this, the book reading segment of our satsang, we continue to read from Fresh Discoveries, Western Seekers on Sri Ramana Maharshi, a compilation by our founder president, Sri A.R. Natarajanji. We have come to the last account, Timeless Presence by Master Nome. I read the last paragraph that we covered in last week, then continue for this week. Birth, growth, decay, death, pleasure and pains, actions and their results, environments and appearances, all of it is just for the body. The truth revealed by the Maharshi cuts the knot that seems to tie our true being with a bodily form. What a relief! What freedom! all concerns centered around the body had been to no purpose and had been groundless. Illness and pain were no more afflictions. The inert body can move all day, yet stillness prevails, and I never do anything. And the fear of death was gone by his immortality revealing truth and his bliss bestowing grace. We continue. The ego, being a vacuous illusion, does not stand alone, but seems to append to itself various concepts, especially in the form of characteristics of a personality. So much of that is associated with the misidentification with the body. With the dissolution of that misidentification, the personality also dissolves. Moreover, the presence of the Guru brings everything to a cessation, whether it be before his couch or samadhi, gazing at his lustrous picture, opening a book containing his nectarian instructions, or simply meditating upon his presence in the heart. We find that the ego and its characteristics and concerns stop dead there and then. The ego falls prostrate as it were and cannot continue another step. In that presence, no attachment can survive, nor can any idea or opinion remain, nor can any idea of a world continue, nor can past thoughts be recalled, nor future ones come, nor the present ones remain. Nothing can withstand that flood tide of grace, nor can the ego mind reach its limit. Like Brahma and Vishnu encountering the infinite linga of the light of Shiva, the mind's creating and sustaining end, and the egoless infinite consciousness, self-luminous, reveals itself. The ability to be this or that is lost, and the ego lies exposed in its vacuity. How false were all the delusions, fears, and anticipation! They wither and perish by just the slightest touch in whatever manner of Sri Bhagavan's presence. He liberates one from the corpse of the body and he liberates one from the phantom of the mind. Having imagined a mind, it seemed as if I were in it, just as it had falsely seemed as if the self were in a body and in a world, when in truth the self was not in a world or in a body at all. How utterly false proved the mind's fetters and the notion of being in a mind or even being endowed with a mind. Only one who abides beyond the mind can lift one entirely beyond the mind to the reality of infinite consciousness. This the Guru mercifully does for the disciple. Only abidance transcendent of the mind can be perpetual meditation and enduring peace. Only abidance transcendent of the mind can be perpetual meditation and enduring peace. Thought is changeful, moving and transitory, and lasting peace and undisturbed meditation cannot be found in such. The immovable and immutable, though, is peace itself. When meditation does not depend upon bodily posture, it endures. And when it does not depend on thought, it becomes perpetual and continuous. When meditation does not depend upon bodily posture, it endures. And when meditation does not depend on thought, it becomes perpetual and continuous. He revealed thought's utter insignificance and that the real self is all important. He revealed thought's transiency and that something else within does not rise and subside. He revealed the objective nature of all thoughts. Every thought has a form, and the existence of that which is formless and non-objective. Only the non-objective is who we are. We cannot be a thought of which we are aware. He revealed the true significance of what Sri Shankara and other sages had referred to as the witness. the witness. The witness is not a function. It is not an activity. It is not something we do at one time and not at another. It is not an observing process. Because of his abidance as the self, the Maharishi effortlessly elucidates with utmost clarity that about which the mind of others might merely conjecture. The Maharishi has revealed the significance of the witness as well as every other description of the self or the absolute. In any way the self has been referred to, we will find clarification in Bhagavan's teachings. Indeed, he is that about which the scriptures speak, and he is the true inner translator within us all, who renders the teachings of wisdom and devotion into actual experience. The witness, it is just consciousness. It is innately free of thoughts. It is what we are. What the I is only formless consciousness. In the delusion of assuming a reality or existence for thought and states of mind, I asked to know this consciousness in relation to the mind. He revealed it as witness, free of the notions of I and this, aham and idam. The only bondage was conceived the knower to be the known. Thoughts appear and disappear. The witness remains unchanged. States of mind come and go. That consciousness remains unaffected. All the world appears before it and then dissolves. The uncreated and imperishable consciousness abides as the silent witness. It is not individualized, being the witness of all and is gunatita. Who else but Sri Bhagavan, the ever gracious, the ever victorious Guru, could lift us out of the grip of the delusive mind with its quicksand-like states and its nonsensical thoughts? Who else but Sri Ramana could show us how to seize imagining corners in the infinite space of pure consciousness? Previously, I had hallucinated myself to be in a mind, my mind in a body, and my body in a world. By his clear instruction and world and mind dissolving grace, I came to experientially know that the world, including the body, is in the sensory experience. The sensory experience is entirely in the mind, and the mind is but I in different guises or forms. But who am I? Previously, I had hallucinated myself to be in a mind, my mind in a body, and my body in a world. By his clear instruction and world and mind dissolving grace, I came to experientially know that the world, including the body, is in sensory experience, and the sensory experience is entirely in the mind, and the mind is but I in different guises or forms. But who am I? The world is only an unreal dream. The outer is conceived only in the mind, just as inner and outer are apparently experienced but only imagined in a dream. But for whom is this dream? It is easy to be detached from an unreal dream that is in no way the source of happiness. But who is detached? Who is bound? And who desires liberation? Do not seize the desire for liberation, but simply find out who it is that wants this liberation, or who it is that is supposedly bound. Thus you can realize the truth and be liberated. It is in this manner that Sri Bhagavan has given his liberating instruction, turning our minds to the source, not allowing them to stray into their own imaginings, and uprooting the very basis of illusion. Thought ceased, then it resumed. Again it ceased, and again it resumed. He is referring to his sadhana in Atmauchara. Thought ceased, then it resumed. Again it ceased, and again it resumed. By intense concentration with and empowered by the inquiry in meditation, thought could cease. Not just a narrative voice dealing with ideas, emotions, which are more ideas, activities, etc. But all thoughts would cease, inclusive of all thought constituting perception and every other kind of thought. But he, the enlightened and all-knowing one, had emphatically declared that what appeared would disappear. So, if a thought-filled state appeared, it would also disappear. If a thoughtless state appeared, it would also disappear. I'll read that again. If a thought-filled state appeared, it would also disappear. If a thoughtless state appeared, it would also disappear. He revealed that which appears and disappears is unreal. It is unreal not only before it appears and after it disappears, but also for the unreal time during which it seems to be. This is the Mandukya Upanishad, Karika by Gaudapada. That which is not before and that which is not after is also not during its existence, is what Gaudapada says. That's what he has written in a different form. I'll read that again. It is unreal not only before it appears and after it disappears, but also for the unreal time during which it seems to be. How can I extend and make permanent this state without thought? That was the idea then. But then Maharishi is always there for the rescue and supplies all the necessary light and much more. He himself makes clear for the understanding of the disciples and the devotees, for the teaching itself is always direct and perfectly clear. His own instruction to ease the obtuseness of his disciple, such is his boundless compassion. Free from thought had a much more profound meaning, one that is unfading and of the reality. Awakening to it is abidance free from false definition, modification, and misidentification. Awakening to it, accompanied by the ego death, is the unveiling of the mystery of no creation, in which the first thought has not yet occurred. So Bhagavan is taking us to the source where the first thought of creation itself has not occurred, says the author. Awakening to it is the entrance into the infinite, undifferentiated, space-like consciousness. By grace, one is led to peace. Fearlessness itself, Sri Bhagavan, makes one to fear not. Even the fear of death is destroyed. He is the destroyer of destruction, the death of death itself. How much more so it with lesser fears, all of which are but notion of the loss of existence and happiness, which are intrinsically one. How beautifully the author says, all fears originate from the fear of non-existence or fear of death, and that itself is destroyed by Bhagavan. So all fears are summed up and destroyed once and for all. Because the self is not known, birth and death appear. If the self is known, from that moment onward, birth and death are gone, and the ever unborn, undying self remains. Because the self is not realized as it is, Yama appears, plaguing the inhabitants of all the dreams. Having been plagued for ages and time and again in a palace of learning with 1,000 rooms, I traced Yama out by following his muddy tracks. In the innermost compartments, there were 3 chambers. Entering the outermost one, it was found to be completely empty. Entering the second, it was also found to be entirely empty. In the innermost, he appeared as death is concomitant with the ego. He rushed forward as Yama cuts down all in no time without sparing any. Only the grace of the Guru can sustain or help one then. This is unfailing strength. And from whom else or from where else can one draw real courage? If one has not embraced the Guru with all his being, and if the Guru has not shown the way, how is one to truly face life or death? So the first compartment is the sensory world. That was investigated and found to be empty and left. The second compartment is the mind. There also it was found to be empty and left. And the third, the causal ignorance. He says Yama comes rushing. That is where we have to hold the Shivalinga of Ravana. And he cuts the Yama's reach from there. This is the strength unfailing. And from whom else or from where else can one draw real courage. If one has not embraced the Guru with all his being, and if the Guru has not shown the way, how is one to truly face life or death? There is no hope in vain struggle, as that is the product of dualism. By his wisdom, I knew to hold nothing as myself and to embrace even death. But when that is the approach, Yama is powerless and vaporous. When we hold on to nothing but Bhagavan, Yama absolutely has nothing against us. He cannot touch anything. Nothing happened. Yama and fear of death vanished, never to return. I had not done anything. The Lord of all, Guru Ramana, is the one who brings about that which is absolutely necessary and awakens the disciple from his transitory dream of transiency. Those who have great fear of death seek refuge at the feet of the Supreme Lord, who is without birth and death. In order to overcome their fear, they then die to themselves along with their adjuncts, the sense of I and mind. Will those who have realized themselves to be deathless entertain again the thought of death? Maranabhaya Mikulavam Makkalaranaha Maranabhavamilla Maheshan Sharaname Sarvardam Sarvodudam Savutra Savennam Sarvaro Savadava Nittar. He is quoting the author is quoting the second Mangala Shloka of Ulladu Narpadu, where he says, by doing Atma Vicharam, we are seeking the one who is beyond birth and death. It is Bhagavan is beyond the reaches of Yama. He is beyond the clutches of birth and death. Mrityunjayam Mrityubhyashritanam Aham Madur Mrityupaiti Purvam Atas Svabhava Amruteshu Teshu Katam Punad Mrityubhyo Vakasha. To the ones who have sought Bhagavan's grace and surrendered, they have already given up their ignorance as ego. They have searched the first compartment sensory world, given it up as empty. Searched the second compartment of mind, given it up as empty. And with Bhagavan's grace, they have transcended the ignorance of the ego. And having lost their ego, why will they have any thought of death or birth, bondage or liberation? They are ever free. I think we have one more set of 4 pages to read. With Bhagavan's grace, we should be able to complete it next week. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramana.
Namo Ramana. And Kumarji has given us a very vivid reading of Master Nome's writing. And Master Nome actually, as Nandakumarji rightly said, is speaking about his own experience, although he doesn't refer to it as his experience in first person. And he came to Bhagavan, to the best of my understanding, when he was in his teens and face to face, literally, physically, with death. He was on the point of death, sure death, and that is when Bhagavan entered his life and completely took over and established him in that deathless self of which he has been speaking with such great love, and which Nandakumarji also read out to us with equal love. For those of us whom Bhagavan knows in his compassion are still probably in the first chamber as well as the second chamber. We might be caught up in the sensory world, we might be caught up in the mind. Bhagavan has an answer for each and every one of us. And it is wonderfully the same answer. The answer is self-inquiry. And now we will have Dilip Simha sharing Bhagavan's self-inquiry and also conducting the practice session.
Namo Ramana. हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहमहमिति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मज्जतव पवनचलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्. We will commence today's evening Atma Vichara by listening to Bhagavan's Upadesham. Today I'll be, as usual, reading from Guru Vachaka Kovai, and the chapter that has been blessed for the evening is meditation on the truth, and the topic is the greatness of Upadesha, the Guru's teaching. Verse 502. The bewildered and confused minds of devotees flow and flee away into the pathways of the worthless senses. Be assured that the wise utterance of the one who has taken firm possession of the heart, the Guru, are the excellent signposts to the goal of having their minds abide in the heart, ending their outward flow. I repeat the verse. The bewildered and confused minds of devotees flow and flee away into the pathways of the worthless senses. Be assured that the wise utterance of the one who has taken firm possession of the heart, the Guru, are the excellent signpost to the goal of having their minds abide in the heart, ending their outward flow. Here, Bhagavan is indicating the Guru who is nothing but the truth, that one self. His words is the grace which makes us abide back in the heart. Though we may claim to be devotees, but because we still identify ourselves with the ego, with the false identity, it is nothing but that we always flow and flee away in the path of worthless senses. As ego, that's all we know to do. We simply flow and flee away into the pathways of the worthless senses. But the self, the Guru, that who is the self, who has taken firm possession of our heart and who has given his wise utterance, this Upadesha here, his grace will, he says here, it's an excellent signpost. It is, if we have come, somehow if we have heard the Upadesha of the Guru, that is enough, because that Upadesha, which has come from the truth, will only take us and establish us in the truth, or ending all our outward flow. So this much we should be clear. This is the greatness of the Upadesha. That is, the Guru's Upadesha is this great. To even having heard that Upadesha, which has come from the truth, even though we may be still wandering in the world with mind outward turned, that greatness, that Upadesha which has come from the truth, will certainly make us abide back in the heart and make sure all our outward flow will cease. This is very much the true signpost. This is assurance that we are all going to be saved from this outward flow. The greatness of that Upadesha that Bhagavan has given us is to inquire, who am I? He has always, if you see the entire talk with Sri Ramana Maharshi and all his teachings, he keeps on asking us to inquire who this I is. With every thought, we are only running to the senses, fleeing away from the truth. And His grace appears in the form of an inquiry within us and asks us to inquire, to whom is this thought? And the moment we inquire, to whom is this thought, we recognize it is for me. And thereupon He asks us with His grace to inquire, who am I? What do we refer to as I within us? Or where from this thought I rises within us? When we do so, it is that grace, that truth which takes us from the outward turned falsity and establishes in the truth itself, in the heart, as Bhagavan has said here, and makes us abide in that truth. And by repeatedly abiding in the heart, which is free of all falsity, which alone is actually, by repeatedly abiding in that, Bhagavan assures that the mind will gain enough strength to remain as the heart, remain at the heart. With the immense grace of Bhagavan, with which alone we could have come to this direct path, with which alone we could even listen to the truth, wisdom that has come out, the Upadesha that has come out from Him, with which alone we can comprehend and practice. Let us do Atma Vichara for the next 10 minutes. In Atma Vichara, no matter how many thoughts rises, no matter what is the nature of the thought, whether it is good, bad, or ugly, we simply inquire, to whom is this thought? Diligently, when we inquire, we become clear that it is for me. Thereupon, when we inquire, who am I? Who is this I that I speak of? Or where from this I thought has arisen from me? Or what do I refer to as I? When we go to the source of the I, and the grace of Bhagavan makes us abide in the heart. And by repeated practice, Bhagavan assures that the mind will gain enough strength to remain at the source. For the next 10 minutes, let us do Atma Vichara. Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We go on to the sharing by Sri Venkatesh Deshpande from Bhagavan's translation of Hastamala.
Dakshinamurti Sarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Ramanacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badharayanam Sutra Bhasha Krito Vande Bhagavantau Punaha Punaha. Oh. By Bhagwan's grace, we are doing manana on Hastamalaka. So why are we doing manana on this Hastamalaka? It's for Drida Aparoksha Jnanam, direct knowledge which is doubtless. That's the reason we are doing manana, to get to be in that Drida Aparoksha Jnanam. Is the 7-year-old boy who comes to who is in front of Shankaracharya, and Shankaracharya obviously knows the state he is in, and he requests the little boy to give out his current state by asking various questions, very deep questions like, "Oh child, who are you? Whom do you belong to? Where are you going or heading? What is your name? From where have you come?" The typical questions, high-end questions, from people who are in the regular world. They will say, "Oh, I am Venkatesh. I live in so-and-so in Bangalore. I belong to so-and-so family," and all that stuff. But if we do manana on what Hastamalaka has said, it has great deeper meaning. So in the verse number 4, Hastamalaka asserts that perfect being I am, the Satchit Ananda, the existence, knowledge, bliss. That's where we ended last satsang. But there may be doubt that if the same Atman is present in all, then why is one happy and the other not? So this is a very valid question, that if the same Atman is present in all, then why is one happy and the other not? So Hastamalaka clarifies this in the next verse. That's verse number 5. I request Sapna to kindly chant the verse, please.
Yes, sir. Mukhabhasako darpane drishyamano mukhatvat pruthaktvena naivasti vastu chidabhasako dishu jivopi tadvat sanityopalabdhi swarupohamatma mukhabhasako darpane drishyamano mukhatvat pruthaktvena naivasti vastu Chidabhasako dhishu jivopi tadvat sanityopalabdhi swarupohamatma. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sapna. The image of face reflected in the mirror has no real existence apart from the face. The image of face reflected in the mirror has no real existence apart from the face. Similarly, Jiva, the individual self, is also a reflection of consciousness in the thoughts of intellect. I am of the nature of that ever-existing Atman. So, second statement says, similarly, the Jiva, the individual self, is also a reflection of consciousness in the thoughts, intellect. I am of the nature of the ever-existing Atman. So there are 3-4 points that are coming out, which is being beautifully explained here. Image of face seen in the mirror has no existence apart from the face. From the absolute standpoint, see, we have to understand what Hastamalaka is saying from the absolute standpoint. From the absolute standpoint, Atman is one without a second. There is no plurality of jivas in it. Plurality appears due to ignorance, just as one face, due to the adjuncts of mirrors, it appears to be many. The same face would appear differently reflected in different mirrors, depending upon their quality. If one wishes to see oneself in many mirrors, the reflections would multiply. The face is one, that is the reality. Reflections are many, that is plurality. The reflections appear to be there, but actually they are not. So imagine you are in a, I remember some of the older Hindi movies, they used to have sometimes the villain gets into a room which has got multiple mirrors, and the policeman is trying to actually go and catch that villain. But when he goes inside, he finds so many pictures of the villain, same villain, because there are so many mirrors inside. He doesn't know actually which is the real villain. So it's exactly the same thing. When we were young, we used to enjoy that because we thought that was a good concept. But here it comes up here also in Hastamalaka, where they say that if you actually look at the world, then you have so many names and so many forms. Okay, it's like the river which has so many waves on it. Now, it is if you put 100 mirrors in front of yourself, there will be how many? There will be 100 different images of you. But you are the one, but the others are all images. What Bhagavan is trying to say is beautifully, the reflections appear to be there, but actually they are not. If the mirrors are removed, what happens to the reflections? The reflections are not there. So all the names and forms we see, we are giving them reality. It's not that they are there. We are giving it reality. That's why we see so many names and forms. So Bhagavan says the same face would appear differently reflected in different mirrors depending upon their quality. If one wishes to see oneself in many mirrors, the reflections would multiply. So this is a great concept that Bhagavan is bringing out here. So the next point is reflection of consciousness in intellects is like that. The desire of the self to see oneself is Maya. So what Dilip also was talking about and what Nand Kumar also was talking about, the desire of the self to see oneself is Maya. That means you want to see yourself. Oh, how does this Venkatesh look? Every morning when you wake up, what happens? You first will go and see yourself in the mirror. Oh, that's me. Oh, yes. So that you have a desire. The self is existent, but then what happens? You wake up, and then the mind wakes up, the ego wakes up, and then you have this. It goes through the mind, it's through the senses, it goes into the world and says, oh, this is all there. Yes, my bank balance is there, my watch is there, everything is there. So then you're happy. And imagine if you can't find something, you'll be very unhappy. So The desire of the self to see oneself is Maya. The self is reflected in the mind, intellect, equipment. The reflection is called Jiva, the Chidabhasa. Different mind, intellect, equipments are conditioned differently due to the various moods, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Accordingly, the reflections vary. One Atman appears as different Jivas. So, this is all, the story is all about each one of us. It is not about, others. So, the point is, if you are in a sattvic frame of mind, then everything looks perfect. Everything is perfect. Everything is calm and quiet. Imagine if you are in a rajas mode, if you are driving your car and there's so much of honking going on, you're getting angry, then what happens? Everybody, even a cyclist who's going next to you, that poor chap is cycling and doesn't have a horn. You will get angry. When you see him, you will get angry. You will say, why the cyclists are also there on the road? They move so slowly and they slow down all the traffic. Everybody honks because of them. That fellow, poor chap, has done nothing. But what happens is your inner state, whether you're in the sattvic or rajasic or tamasic mood, that is the way you project yourself in the world. And when you project yourself in the world appears to be like that. So Bhagavan says, the different mind intellect equipments are conditioned differently due to the various moods. Accordingly, the reflections vary. One Atman appears as different Jiva. The one Atman appears as so many different Jivas because of our vasanas, because of our desires, because of our states. Whether we are in Rajas, Tamas or Sattva state, it varies. The presence or absence of the mirror does not change the face. This is a beautiful thing. So that's why all the great ones says, mind your own business. If you mind your own business, you are with the self. You're not worried about all these mirrors and all these things that are happening in the world. The presence or absence of the mirror does not change the face. It remains one and the same. Similarly, appearance or disappearance of thoughts does not change the Atman. Whether you're thinking, sometimes you just want to sit and be. Just be. Nothing wrong with it. You don't have to be a compulsory thinker, but we think that if you're not thinking, then there's something wrong with us. So exactly the same thing that what happened to Hastamalaka, where all his parents thought that this fellow was retarded or he was an unusual child. But when he came in front of Shankaracharya, he actually spoke out his state, and that's when he realized that Hastamalaka was in a very high state of being. So same thing exactly. Similarly, appearance or disappearance of thought does not change the Atman. So the Atman is what it is. Again, the face remaining the same, the image changes according to the type of mirror. In a convex mirror, the image is bloated, but in a concave mirror, it is slim. So if you are a fat person and stand in front of a concave mirror, it gives you so much of joy, right? When you look so thin and nice, and if you're a thin person standing in front of a convex mirror, what happens? It makes you nice and healthy. And so it is all a state of the mind. It's all in the mind. If the mirror is clean, the image is clean. Similarly, the same self appears differently, happy or unhappy, according to the moods of the mind. The Atman is unaffected by either joys or sorrows. Multiplicity or duality in the Atman is false, a non-reality or mithya. Brahman Satyam Jagat Mithya. That's why they say it's a mithya. The apparent emergence of many from one is called Maya in Vedanta. It is also known as Prakriti or Avidya, of the ignorance of the self. If you don't know who you are, that's when all these Maya and all these Prakriti and all these things come up. This Maya is neither existent nor non-existent. It cannot be described. So, the self reflected in the Sattva predominant Maya is called Ishvara, and that in Avidya Maya is Jiva. This Jiva, forgetting its real nature, becomes the doer and enjoyer and experiences pleasure or pain. The reflection of the sun, this is another concept that is being spoken about beautifully. The reflection of the sun in muddy water may appear to be dirty, but the sun remains immaculate as ever. The jiva is imagination created by Maya. The jiva may appear to be subjected to changes in keeping with the three states of the mind. The Atman remains unconditioned as the sun. The reflection of the same sun will appear to be clean or dirty according to the conditions of the water. Its image in milk and Ganga water will be clean, and muddy drain water it will be dirty, but the sun is the same. Similarly, in rich and poor, sage and sinner, good and bad, in all jivas, the same self shines in its natural glory. As the sun is beyond day and night, the Atman is indifferent to papa and punya, merits and demerits. So this is a very important lesson Bhagavan is giving us there, that the Atman does not care whether you do the greatest job, papa, punya and all, doesn't matter, because it's unattached. What about the duality of Prakriti, Purusha, male and female? This is another thing that comes up in our sadhana, and we are all Arunachala, devotees, where there is Ardhanarishwara. So in the Ardhanari Nateshwara form of Lord Shiva, the same Lord appears both as male and female. Similarly, the one self appears as both Prakriti and Purusha due to the false creation of duality superimposed on Atman. The appearance of duality is due to the ignorance of the immutable nature of the self. When Atma is veiled, when it is covered, the play of Maya starts. When the play of Maya ends, the Atma is revealed. So Bhagavan says this beautifully. So we think there is a Prakriti out there and there is Purusha. There is an objective world, and there is Purusha, which is the subjective. So that's what Parvati did. Ma Parvati, what she did was she said, I want to merge with you. I want to be with you, and I want to merge. And that's how she became Ardhanarishwara. She became half of Shiva. So then what happens is there's nothing called Prakriti, and there is nothing called Purusha. Everything is Shiva. So in the knowledge of the self, identity and unity between the two is established, and illusion of duality is removed. So any duality, whereas there is duality and that there is me and there is something else, like it was beautifully said in Nandkumar's reading, that what is reality for us? We think we are this. I think I'm Venkatesh in this body, and I have got a mind, and I stay in a particular place, and this place is in the world, and this is reality for me. But this is what Bhagavan is trying to say is this is only a projection. This is only a dream. There is no reality to this. But behind this whole thing is this consciousness. These waves are all temporary. They are there for some time, but they are actually only the ocean, only the water, the consciousness. So all beings are actually God, because we say Ishavasya Sarvam. So all the waves have got water in it. So all the jivas actually are only consciousness, but we don't understand it because we only look at the physical part of it. We really don't see the actual what it is made up of. So if we really see what each one of us actually made up of is consciousness. That's why they say body is the temple of the living God. So each one of us is actually divine. And may Bhagavan give us all the strength to be able to be within and experience this wholeness, this Purna, Purnamada, Purnamidam. Everything is only Purna. There's no lackness. So if we are with the self, then we are in that state. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana, Doctor.
Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang with a sharing by Dr. Kalarani Swami on Jnana Vichara Padalam, Devi Kalutta.
அருணாச்சலமென அகமே நினைப்பவர் அகத்தை வேறறுப்பாய் Arunachala. Namo Ramana to all. With the immense grace of Bhagwan, we are meditating on Devi Kalotra Jnana Vichara Padalam. And in the last satsang we saw அத்வைதமாகி அறிவொழி மாத்திரமாய் எய்தும். Without any duality. As said in Ribugidai, வேதமுற பலவிதமாய் பேசி என்ன பிரிவற்ற அகண்ட பர பிரம்மம் தானே மாதவா நீ நிஜமான ஸ்வரூபம். We talk about many different things in the world and we say, I like this, I don't like this, oh, I really want that particular one, but I'm not getting it, so I am sorrow. Moreover, in the materialistic world, people are so crazy and desirous to the extent that they love the material or object that they possess and use human being to achieve them. In olden days, this was not the case. They loved human beings and made use of the objects. I'll tell you a small example. A very small boy of 4 years, he was writing something on his father's car. Seeing this, the father got annoyed and shouted at him, "You fool, what are you doing? Scratching my new car? Do you know it is 29 lakhs? And he beat him so hard that he has to be taken to the hospital. And after the treatment, the boy became all right. And his dad took him home and was surprised to see on his door of the car the beautiful letters, "I love you, Daddy." The daddy felt so ashamed of his action. This is what happens in the world now. People are more attached to the object and use human being to achieve those objects. In this stanza, Bhagavan says, see everything as equal. When can it be possible? Only when we can see all as Eka Swarupa. See only the Anman. Only in that state, there will be no attachment towards a particular object. The object may be worldly material, human being, animals, anything it may be. All is Anman, the self, and nothing other than the self. Even God will not be seen other than the self in that state. In that state, Bhagavan says, Aham amisattu yet suniyam aduve parayogattu உய்த்திடுவாதாக தான் உற்று முக்திக்கு வித்து என்று விளம்பும். In that state in which nothing else is there except I, where there is no seer and nothing to be seen, where there is no drishya, that is the way where one can be merged with that Paravastu. That is the Gati. That alone will help us to move from this worldly drishti to make us dive into the heart to get merged in the self. When we do not see anything different, how can we live in this world? The question arises. Will it not be a sunya? As Venkatesh beautifully explained it. It's Purnam, it's not sunya. Will I become mad? The question arises. Because I don't be having any expectations, any aspiration, then what for I am living in this world? What will I become? Bhagavan says, no worries. That state is Muktikku vittu endru vilambum. That is that state where one sows seed for mukti. And that is not the state of sunya or vacuum, but it is the Purnam. Only when we sow a seed, we can get some yield out of it. Likewise, the seed that yield of mokshanandam is the sunya, the space, the vacuum. The source of all worldly creation is this sunya. Haimanavar, a very great saint and poet, beautifully says, Sindai pirandadum ange. The source of mind is there only. That is the source. And the chindai irandu telindadum ange. The source where the mind emerges in the same place where it gets destroyed and realized. எந்த நிலைகளும் அங்கே. It is the abode of all state. கண்ட யான்றான் இரண்டிரும் இருந்ததும் அங்கே. The I, which found the difference between God and me, is in that source only. And now, the realization that there is no difference between you and me also emerges in that same source only. So, when the Sunyam is realized, that will be leading us to the state of our own nature, and that paves the way to attain mukti, which need not to be realized outside, but it is here and now because it is always within us. May Bhagavan Ramana bless us. He is already blessing us for attaining that great state of bliss. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana.
I wonder whether Kala has cut short her talk because we start a little later. I hope she will make it up next time.
Yeah.
We now continue with the sharing from Ujjwal Jagadish on Bhagavan Ramanacentre on Bhagavan by Ganapati Muni, 40 verses. Ujjwal's sharing is about that.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Ramanaya Loka Gurave Namaha. Ramanaya Loka Gurave Namaha. Ramanaya Loka Gurave Namaha. Ramanaya Loka Gurave Namaha. Ekam Vakramumanka Vasaviraha Pano na Shakyayudam Martyatvam na Patakini Chatratana Ashwadvayena Kina Vesholam Punaresha Mugdhanayana Prachadane Bhujusha Antardhanamupaishi-tarakalipo Kvastanyadayadataha Ramananige loka guruvige namana Ramananige loka guruvige namana Undu mukha dharisi ume madila sarjasi Karadim Shakyayudava torede Martyanagi dvaja hidida Devasenaya Ashvadim maraside Vesha harisu saku Mugdha janara marulu golisinalide Maresalu sadhyave Ninage tarakaripuve Ninna sodaraninda Ganapati Muni singing of Ramana and having a conversation with Ramana, who Ganapati Muni is telling, you are my little brother, Subramanya Muruga. How can you, your disguise, you can fool the Pamaras, the common people of this world. How can you fool me? I am the one who drank the milk from our mother together. So we both drank the mother's milk together. How can you hide your secret from your own brother, says Ganapati Muni. And what is the secret? That you have hidden your 6 faces. Now you only bear only one face. And you have left the Madilu, the lap of Mother Uma. And you have also hidden your Shakyayuda. And you have come in the form of a mortal, in the disguise of a human being. And you have also hidden the army of celestials that you are leading. You are hiding all these things and you can fool the common people, but you cannot fool me, says Ganapati Muni, who is his own brother. Ganapati Muni had this complete anubhava that he is the amsha of Ganapati. So he does not, even in the meeting of the scholars in Kashi, he told he had to debate with a person called Ambika Datta. Then he told, you are only Ambika Datta, a adopted son of Ambika, but I am the very son of Ambika. I am Ganapati, says proudly and knowing the truth that he is the Amsha of Ganapati. And he says, I know your truth also, Ramana, you are Subramanya. And then he says, oh Ramana, you are not having your Shaktiyayudha, the Ayudha that you used to kill all the demons, including the Tarakasura. Where is your Shaktiyayudha? And Ramana's Shaktiyayudha, as we all know, is the Nanyar Yennum Brahmastiram. It is the Jnanastiram that Ramana is holding and giving each one of us this Astram, this Shakti veil. He is giving each one of us and telling us each one of us can destroy the darkness which is coming in between our own true nature. This was the experience of Sheshagiri Iyer, Ramanadasa Sadananda. When he came to see Bhagavan Ramana in the Virupaksha days, he came with lot of worries, lot of dejections, lot of disappointments, lot of worries and vows of his family. When he came to Ramana's presence, he just felt that Ramana was that sun of wisdom, and in front of that sun, all his worry just evaporated just like the dew drops. And the blissful state of Ramana was so infectious that as soon as he was in the presence, he was filled with bliss. And then he realized, when this is happening, all my darkness of worries, everything is melting away. How can one not say that this is the very abode of Mahadeva? This is Kailasa, and the Lord who is sitting in front of me is none other than Mahadeva himself. That was the revelation that Ramanadasa Sadananda had when Ganapati Muni in the last paragraph says, you have left Kailasa and you have come to Arunachala. Are you not missing Kailasa? Then Ramanadasa Sadananda, with this account, he says, Arunachala is no different from Kailasa. All is same when the Mahadeva has incarnated in the human form, and Ramana is Subramanya, the Mahadeva's Guru Tattva, which has taken the human form and it has come. Why has he taken the human form? The same light appeared as a huge column of light without a beginning or an end. And that light could not be comprehended even by great gods like Vishnu and Brahma. And when they surrendered, that light became a hill so that more people could associate and connect to it. But still, the great gods told, how can we worship you, O hill? You are in this huge form. If you have to do Abhishekam, only the rain can do Abhishekam to you. If you have to offer flowers, only the trees on you, if it sheds flowers, it is puja for you. Only the sun and the moon can light lamps and do arati to you. How can we relate to you? So when they came up with this prayer, that same Arunachala who had taken the huge form of the Arunachala hill, the Adi Linga, became the Arunachaleshwara Linga and became accessible to all the people. Still, people forgot the purpose of this Arunachala, the Arunachala, which is the light within everyone, which is the Atma Tattva. People forgot to relate to Arunachala in that way. So, to reveal the glory of Arunachala, the same Arunachala which appeared as a huge column of light, and then Arunachala hill and Arunachaleshwara Linga had to come in the human form as Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi to reveal us the glory of Atma. And how did he reveal this, the glory of Atma? With this Shaktiyayudha of Shakti veil of self-inquiry. When Ramanadasa Sadananda, in his next visit, when he surrendered, when he prostrated to the feet of Bhagavan, and he prostrated saying that, oh Bhagavan, I am tormented by this Maya, I am crushed by this Maya, all these troubles of this worldly life. Will you not please save me and protect me? Was the prayer of Ramanadasa Sadananda. And Ramana, with his sweet words, he told, find out who is the one who is afflicted by these worldly troubles. Find out who he is. Ask this question every time you are troubled by this question. Then you will realize that you are not the body. All the troubles are only for the body, and the body which perishes is not you. You are the Atma, which is of the nature of unmixed joy, unalloyed bliss. You are that Atma. Find out the truth. When you find out this truth, then you are not afflicted by any of the worries of the world, says Bhagavan Ramana with his sweet voice. And Ramanadasa Sadananda says that at that moment, that beautiful balm-like words, it resolved all the problems. He was just floating in the bliss, and he was in that state that he didn't even know what was that state of worry and sorrow. He was in that state of supreme bliss. And this very same inquiry came to him when he was afflicted by a critical illness, where he was suffering, and his wife and child, Sharda, they both were in great turmoil, and they all prayed to Bhagavan Ramana, and to Ramanadasa Sadananda. Ramana came in the form of the inquiry. He told, for whom is this illness? The illness is only for the body, but you are not the body. You are the Atma. You are the self, which is untouched by any illness, any worries, any pain. You are the self. At that moment, Ramanadasa Sadananda, who was tormented, he felt he had an imagination, he had a vision that his Atma, his soul was taken and was dragged in various directions by the Yamabhatas. And then when this inquiry came, the Shakti wave of inquiry came, the Yamabhata left Ramanadasa Sadananda in the presence of Ramana, in the thought of Ramana, and they just vanished. That was the experience of Ramanadasa Sadananda, who was protected by that Shakti veil, and that very same Shakti veil Ramana has given to each one of us. And as Talaka in the previous few verses of Devika Lotram said, Shiva says, those who by this path that is shown by the Guru, when they control their mind, Ramana, who had controlled the mind, who was beyond the mind, who had understood that he was beyond the mind, and his mind was ever abiding in the self. And for such a one is Shiva, such a one is Vishnu, such a one is Brahma, such a one is Indra and other gods. He is the Sura Guru, he is Brihaspati, he is a great yogi, he is a great Pandita, he is everything, says Devika Lotram. And Ramana, who was ever abiding in the self, who was beyond the mind and beyond the controlling of the mind, he was all these. Hariyaditara Jivarataha Varijaguhari Arivairami Paramatman Arunachala Ramanan. Arunachala Ramana is the pure consciousness who shines in all the gods, starting from Hari. For such a one who has become all, who had become all the Devatas, he did not have to lead a celestial army. He had become everyone and one alone. That Ramana was ever shining. To that Ramana we bow and we hold on to that Shakti veil of self-enquiry and realize our own true nature as the unalloyed bliss. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. By the grace of the self manifest as Ramana, that self which we call Subramanya, which we call Ganesha, which we call Brahma, which we call Shiva, that self which revealed its Shiva nature as the self to Brahma and Vishnu, who are seen as energies of that very self. That self, in its manifestation as Ramana, we are now meditating upon through the names, through the attributes in the form of names given to that self by Vishwanatha Swami. Bharadwaja Vishwanatha Virachitam Ramana Ashtottara Shatanama. So that in those namas, in the names, we started with the first nama, which is inspired by Ganapati Muni's vision of Bhagavan as Subramanya. And we have gone on, and we are on the nama Swarna Hastakaya Namaha. Having seen the namas Sahayamba Sahayavate Namaha, Shonachala Maholina Manasaya Namaha, Swarna Hastakaya Namaha. We can interpret this Swarna Hastaka in two ways. One, that Bhagavan is the Swarna Hastaka for us. There is one of the devotees of Bhagavan Ramana here in Bangalore, Shadakshari, and he always believed that Bhagavan is the one of the golden touch who pulled him out of great difficulties and placed him in a very comfortable position because of his Swarna Hastaka, because of his Swarna Hasta, because he is Swarna Hastaka, because he is the golden-handed one. And we see that Bhagavan, in his compassion, knowing that there are many ways in which we need to approach the truth, as he has himself said in Arunachala Ashtaka, he says, Irundolir unai arivurithidakendre irundanai madantorum vidavida uruvai. You have remained in, or you are visible in different faiths, in different aspects of worshipping you, because of your compassion to reveal your own true nature shining as the self. So Bhagavan has, in his Leela as Ramana, the Supreme Self, has touched various aspects of life, various aspects of our sadhana as a young child. We already saw how Bhagavan has illuminated the path of surrender by going to Sahayamba, by taking the support or succor from Sahayamba when his father scolded him, by not turning to the physical mother Alagamma, but going to Sahayamba and remaining with her silently for many hours, imbibing her soothing presence, her comforting presence beyond the expression of words. And that Bhagavan has shown us, Sahayamba Sahayavate Namaha. And he has shown us, he has touched the beauty of the Nama Japa, the Nama Smarana. For all those who meditate upon the name of the Supreme, of course, explicitly he has shown that path by blessing Ganapati Muni first. When Ganapati Muni approached him and asked him for the true meaning of penance, as Ganapati Muni had been at that time doing several crores of mantra japa, Bhagavan gave to him the path of inquiring into the source of the mantra and abiding at that source. In that way, he explicitly blessed, and through his guidance to many devotees who had the natural aptitude to do mantra japa, Bhagavan has blessed it. And hence, in his own life, he blessed it by the constant smarana, the constant remembrance of the name of Arunachala, which was ever shining in his heart, because of which already Vishwanatha Swami has told us, Shonachala Maholina Manasaya Namaha. அறிவரு சிறுவயதது முதல் அருணாச்சலம் மிகப்பெரிதென அறிவினிலங்க. Bhagavan says in his Arunachala Ashtakam. So the name Arunachala was ever shining within him, and externally he blessed little ways of the karma marga, the helping of others. How did he bless that in his life? We can see that whatever Bhagavan did, even as a young boy, was touched in that golden manner with perfection. We have one example of his handwriting as a boy of 10, where he wrote down for his classmate the name of the classmate in his notebook, and we can see the beautiful cursive handwriting of Bhagavan over there. Later, those of us who have had the opportunity to go to Sri Ramanashramam and have a look at the archives, and also Sri Ramanashramam has printed a beautiful book called Swarna Hastaka, Tangakkai, bringing out Bhagavan's handwriting, the beauty of Bhagavan's handwriting. So Bhagavan, the hand of Bhagavan, the golden hand of Bhagavan, was expressed in that writing, in the perfection with which things would be done. So that is the way in which he blessed or touched or made golden the path of action. And that it was done with selflessness, without a care for himself. He would, of course, take his younger sister all the way to their grandmother's house. Says his grand-nephew, Sri T. N. Venkatraman, later Swami Ramanananda, he says that little Alamelu would want to go ever so often to her maternal grandmother's house, which was some distance away. And people tired of taking her, but Bhagavan would take her. And he would right from then be innovative in his actions. He had made for her footwear from the bark of the plantain tree. The banana tree, he would take out the bark of it and make it into footwear for her, because we can imagine the heat of Tiruchuri to walk would have been impossible. And of course, in those days, hardly any Indians had footwear. So that was something which he did. So it was like he blessed the karma marga, and afterwards, if we will see in Bhagavan's life, so many things he has done. He would make for himself. There could be a staff which he used. He would take a bow from a tree and he would smoothen it with sandpaper, smoothen it and make it into a staff. And there are a number of kamandalus which have been smoothened and made by him, sometimes gifted to others also, just like that, made and gifted. So that is how Bhagavan blessed the path of action. And once we have the episode of a little neighbor of his, younger than him, who was very keen on having eating sugar cane. Now, sugar cane has to be, of course, cut into smaller pieces, and then it has to be sliced, and it has to be peeled, which is quite a laborious process. And in those days, there used to be a cutting instrument, which was called in Tamil Arvamanai. It had the shape of a horse's head, kind of, and it would have a sharp edge, and it was put onto a plank. So it could be possible to hold that plank, and then you could slice the vegetables or you could slice the fruits on it like this. See, the knife would be vertical, placed on a plank, and it had to be done. And Bhagavan, out of his great compassion for this little boy who wanted to eat sugar cane, he started slicing the sugar cane on this Arvamani, and in the process he cut his hand, his thumb badly. And he did not blame the boy, and he did not want anyone else to blame the boy perhaps. So he tried bandaging his own hand, but it was not possible. And then he went home, and Sundaram discovered that the boy's hand was bleeding, and then he bandaged it for him, and it healed. So Bhagavan had this compassion from when he was young of doing things for the younger ones, for those who needed help, and helping everyone without any thought about himself. In this way, we see in his life the blessing of the Swarna Hastaka on the Karma Marga. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We continue today's satsang with the chanting of verses from Bhagavan's Aksharamanamale by Radha and Vallabh.
Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. நைந்தழிக்கனியா நலநிலை பதத்தில் நாடியுட்குள் நலம் அருணாச்சலம் நொந்திடதுந்தனை தந்தனை கொண்டிலை அந்தகனி என கருணாச்சலம் நோக்கிய கருதிமை தாக்கிய பக்குவம் ஆக்கினியாண்டருள் அருணாச்சலம் பற்றிமவிடந்தலை திருமுனமருள் பற்றிடருள் புரி அருணாச்சலம் பாதருள் மாலர பார்த்தில்லை எனினருள் பாருனக்கார் சொல்வார் அருணாச்சலம் பித்து விட்டுன்னை நேர்பித்தனாகினை அருள் பித்தம் தெளி மருந்தருணாச்சலம் வீதியில் உன்னை சார் வீதியில் என்னை சேர் வீதி உந்தனக்கே அருணாச்சலா புல்லறிவே துரை நல்லறிவே துரை புல்லிடவே அருள் அருணாச்சலா பூமண மாமணம் பூரண மணம் கொள்ள பூரண மணம் அருள் அருணாச்சலாம் பெயர் நினைத்திடவே பிடித்திடுத்தனை உன் பெருமையார் அறிவார் அருணாச்சலம் பேத்தனம் விடவிடா பேயா பிடித்தென்னை பேயனாக்கினை என் அருணாச்சலா பைக்கொடியானான் பற்றின்றி வாடாமல் பற்று கொடாய்கா அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல 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 அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல அருணாச்சலம் வாழி அன்பர்களும் வாழி அக்ஷரமண மாலை வாழி.
Namo Ramana. We conclude today's satsang with the Ashtotra Puja to Bhagavan performed at Dilip's altar, and the Ashtotra will be chanted by Vaibhavji and Prarthana and Uma and Ashwini, and the Aarti song will be sung by Revathi Shankar. Wishing all a happy Indian Independence Day, which is coming tomorrow. And we will be meeting and celebrating the Indian independence as well. But in advance, a very happy Indian Independence Day as well to all devotees. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramana.
नमो रमण भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तर शतनामावलिः अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशे यस्योमि मात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि ॐ महासेन महंसेन जाताय नमः ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः ॐ गुरवे नमः ॐ अखण्डसंविदाकाराय नमः ॐ महौजसे नमः ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः ॐ जगद्भितावताराय नमः ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोस्थिताय नमः ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः ॐ सुन्दरार्यतपःफलाय नमः ॐ कमनीयसुचारित्राय नमः ॐ सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः ॐ शोणाचलमहोलीनमानसाय नमः ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः ॐ श्रीमद्द्वादशान्तमहास्थले लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः ॐ तीव्राय नमः ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः ॐ पितुरादेशतः शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः ॐ तपोमयाय नमः ॐ उदासीनाय नमः ॐ महायोगिने नमः ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः ॐ कुशाग्रधिये नमः ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसंरम्भाय नमः ॐ सुसन्दृशे नमः ॐ सवित्रे नमः ॐ स्थिराय नमः ॐ तपक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः ॐ पुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः ॐ चूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः ॐ चूलिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः ॐ त्रिगुणातिगाय नमः ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः ॐ विराजदशलाकृतये नमः ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः ॐ पूर्णाय नमः ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः ॐ गम्भीराय नमः ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः ॐ दक्षिणास्यनिभाय नमः ॐ धीराय नमः ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः ॐ स्वराजे नमः ॐ महर्षये नमः ॐ भगवते नमः ॐ ईड्याय नमः
ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः ॐ विमलाय नमः ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः ॐ आप्ताय नमः ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः ॐ समदृशे नमः ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः ॐ सत्याय नमः ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः ॐ श्री शोणाचलहृद्भूतस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः ॐ गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः ॐ गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्छिन्नसंशयाय नमः ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः ॐ सौम्याय नमः ॐ आत्मवते नमः ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः ॐ महाभागाय नमः ॐ मातृमुक्तिविधायकाय नमः ॐ विनताय नमः ॐ विनुताय नमः ॐ विप्राय नमः ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः ॐ दर्शनादगसंहारिणे नमः ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः ॐ हृच्छान्तिकरसान्निध्याय नमः ॐ स्मरणात् बन्धमोचकाय नमः ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः ॐ संसारार्णावतारकाय नमः ॐ शोणाद्रीशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः ॐ गुहाय नमः ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः ॐ भवरोगविषग्वराय नमः ॐ स्कन्धाय नमः ॐ देवतमाय नमः ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः ॐ सेनान्ये नमः ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः
ॐ श्रीरमण भगवते नमः श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनामपूजां समर्पयामि यस्थाणोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्या जनिं प्राप्य तद् दिव्यानुग्रहसुप्रवाहविवशस्तादात्म्यभावं गतः हृन्निष्ठस्वगभीरनित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनास्येकराट् तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नम इदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे। नमो 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 रमण सदाशिवप्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि दर्शनसुखमङ्गलमुखसकलजीवहितसम्मुख ब्रह्मसङ्गीये नमो 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 रमण सदाशिवप्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि सदा तुष्ट सदा हृष्ट सदा शिवानन्दपुष्ट परम महर्षि ब्रह्मनिष्ठ समदर्शी नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि ನಮ್ಮ ಮನವದೊಂದು ಕಾಡು ನೀನರಿತಿಹೆ ಅದರ ಜಾಡ್ ಹಿತವನರಿತು ನೀಡುತ್ತೆಮ್ಮ ಕೊರೆಯ ತಣಿಸಲೈ ಬೇಡಲೆಂದು ಬಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ತಣಿವೆವಯ್ಯ ಮೋಡಿಗಾರನೇ ಹಿತವ ನುಡಿದು ಪೊರೆ ನಮ್ಮನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸಂಘಿಯೇ ನಮೋ 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 ರಮಣ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಪ್ರಭಾವರಣ ನಮೋ महर्षि नमो महर्षि नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि बोलो भगवान श्री रमण महर्षि की जय।